Alright, so in a couple of previous videos, we've looked at rotations and we looked at reflections separately. Now we're going to look at rotations and reflections together, and specifically how two reflections can produce a rotation. So here's specifically what your goal is to figure out which reflections can be used in pairs to produce each of these rotations. Alright, so just give you a rundown on how this process works. First, you're just going to write down all of your rules that you did from your reflections and rotations work. You should have all those rules. So if you haven't got those, get them together first. Next, you're going to perform each of those rules on a pair of reflections. So, for example, you're going to use the rule to reflect this triangle ABC across the x-axis, and then from there you're going to use the y-axis rule to reflect the triangle across the y-axis. So one after the other, performing one rule after the other. And then here you're going to do across the x-axis and then across the line y equals x, and so on. We've got a bunch of different combinations here. There's a total of 12 different possible permutations of those four different reflections. And then down here at the end, you're going to use your rules for the rotations to rotate the triangle 90 degrees, find the coordinates for the 180 degree rotation of the triangle, find the coordinates for the 270 degree rotation of the triangle. And then you'll have to go and hunt through all of your paired reflections and rotations and figure out the 90 degree rotation. You know what the end coordinates are, so which two reflections produced the same as this 90 degree rotation. By the way, you're actually going to find four total pairs that will produce the 90 degree rotation, but I only want you to record the two that are the most unique. That gives you a little bit of a hint there. And after that, you're going to go down here and you're going to graph the original triangle and its 90 degree rotation. And then you're going to graph the original triangle plus its two reflections. And you should write down what the two reflections are here. And then down here, graph the original triangle along with the two other reflections that also produce the 90 degree rotation. And write down what those two reflections are over here. Then you do the same for the 180 degree rotation. Just hunt through the list, find out which reflections produce the same end result coordinates as the 180 degree rotation. And then down here you're going to put the original triangle and its 180 degree rotation, the original triangle and the two reflections, and down here the original triangle and the other two reflections. And of course keep in mind that you're going to state which those are. Then you're going to end up doing the same for the 270 degree rotation. You're going to find out which pairs of reflections. And again, there's going to be four pairs of reflections that produce this 270 degree rotation, but I just want you to record the two that are the most unique. In other words, some of them are going to be pretty much the same as others, and you'll see what I mean once you start looking at them. Alright, then you're going to graph the original and the 270 degree rotation, and then over here, the original and both of the reflections that end up the same as the 270 degree rotation. Then down here, the original and the other two reflections that produce that 270 degree rotation. And of course, you're going to record here what the two reflections were, and up here what the two reflections were for this graph. And then finally, last but not least, there's just some follow-up questions, and you can just read those for yourselves. All right, so let's go ahead and get started.